Someone you barely know, a coworker, a distant cousin, sometimes a complete stranger finds out you don't want to have kids, and within 30 seconds they say it. You'll change your mind. And you don't argue, you just take that breath. The one where you decide this conversation isn't worth your energy. Again. That exhaustion you feel in that moment, it's not random. And it's not just about one comment. There's a reason it hits that hard, and it has nothing to do with doubt. Because here's what people don't see. You didn't wake up one Tuesday and decide this on a whim. This isn't a phase you're going through. You've thought about it more carefully than most people think about having kids. You've sat with it. You've questioned yourself, probably more than once. And you arrived at the same answer every single time. But the world treats your decision like it's still pending, like there's a deadline you don't know about yet. Like your whole life is a rough draft that won't be final until there's a child in it. There's actually a term for what happens when someone dismisses a decision you've already made. Psychologists call it identity non-confirmation. It's when the people around you refuse to recognize a core part of how you see yourself. And the reason it's so exhausting isn't the disagreement. It's that your brain has to reassert something it already resolved over and over to people who aren't even listening, and you feel it everywhere. At the doctor's office, practically having to justify why you want control over your own body. At family dinners, where your life somehow becomes an open discussion. At work, where people assume your time is less valuable because you don't have school pickups, and that constant defending it costs more than most people realize. The real price isn't the comments themselves, it's what happens to your friendships. You're in your late 20s, your 30s, maybe your 40s, and you watch it happen in slow motion. A close friend has a baby, you're genuinely happy for her. And then the texts get shorter, the plans disappear. And one day you realize the person who used to know everything about your life now lives in a world you don't share. Nobody warns you about that part. The quiet grief of watching your friendships rearrange themselves around a life stage you didn't enter. Research on social identity and life transitions shows that friendships are most vulnerable when two people's daily realities permanently diverge. It's not that either person stopped caring. It's that the shared context, the thing that made the friendship effortless, evaporated. And for child-free women specifically, there's an added layer, the assumption that since your life didn't change, you should be the one to bridge the gap. Every time. So you become the flexible one. The one who works around their schedule, the one whose free time is treated like it's empty time by friends, by family, by your own workplace. So you've got a decision you made with more thought than most people give to anything, and the world treats it like a placeholder. You've got friendships quietly dissolving under the weight of different lives. And you've got an exhaustion that comes not from doubt, but from constantly being asked to prove something you already know. None of that showed up overnight. And not all of it comes from the same place. Because the certainty you feel, the knowing that doesn't have one single origin. Some women look back and honestly can't find a moment where the desire was ever there. Not suppressed, not buried, just absent. Like asking someone why they don't want to be a pilot, there's no story. There's no wound, it just isn't there. Never was. Psychologists distinguish between what they call an intrinsic absence versus a responsive choice. The first is a baseline state. The pull toward parenthood simply doesn't exist in any meaningful way, the same way some people never feel drawn to travel or competition. The second is an active decision made in response to something, a pattern recognized, a cost weighed, a cycle examined, and this is where it splits. Some women never felt the urge, period. It's not a reaction to anything. There's no reason to unpack because there was never a pull to resist in the first place. And some women looked at their family, at the addiction, the chaos, the things that got passed down without permission, and said, "This stops with me." One isn't a phase, the other isn't damage. But they feel completely different on the inside, and only you know which one you're sitting in. The woman who never felt the urge gets told she's broken. The woman who chose to break the cycle gets told she's being dramatic. Different roots, same dismissal from the outside. But here's what neither of those people ever asks. Nobody asks what you built instead. The friendships you chose on purpose, the Saturday morning that belongs entirely to you, no guilt attached. The life you designed without a template, because there wasn't one that fit. The cultural script says a woman's life becomes meaningful when she becomes someone's mother. But meaning doesn't require sacrifice to be real. You didn't choose an empty life. You chose a full one, just full of different things. That breath you take when someone says you'll change your mind, it's not confusion, it's not hesitation. It's the breath of someone who already knows and is tired of being asked to prove it. You didn't choose to be empty. You chose to be full of things that are yours. If you've ever wondered why some people can't stop explaining themselves even when they're completely certain, that's a whole other pattern. Subscribe so you catch that one.